There's a huge amount of energy that's surrounding our football program right now that's created an increased excitement both internally and externally as we head towards the 2012 season. I think that's supported by the fact that we're going to open up a brand new state-of-the-art football facility this fall. We had record-setting attendance last year in 3 different categories: season ticket sales, single season attendance, and all 6 of our home football games were over 51,000 for the first time in the history of Iowa State University football. The season ticket sales for 2012 have already surpassed those marks. Our football team through 3 seasons has experienced great growth and development. And I think as we head towards this season, we're going to put our most talented football team on the field as we once again face a schedule that all, if not most, will rank as one of the top 5 toughest in college football. We have 2 players that are up for about every preseason honor they could at linebacker, A.J. Klein and Jake Knock, both very deserving of this attention. So there's plenty of support, plenty of excitement as we move towards the start of the 2012 season. One bit of housekeeping knowledge: Chantrell Johnson, a running back in our football program, has been cleared to play and will begin practicing with us when we start on August 3rd.
Okay, we're ready to take questions. We're going to start right here in the middle, and then we'll move to the outside. Again, your name and affiliation.
Will Parsons, the Wiggler Junior Herald. Coach, if you could talk a little about the Oklahoma State win last year and kind of what that's done for the program since and some of the tangible gains that you guys have seen since that win.
I think the most significant component of that victory for our football program has been national attention. And you play that game on a Friday night at a point late in the season that affected the BCS race, and you got the whole nation talking about it all weekend long. Now, that spills over, most importantly for us, into recruiting. And you go into living rooms, and you go into schools, and you go into on the practice fields this spring, and the I-State brand is recognized on a national level, probably more so than it's ever been.
Got a question? 2 questions on the outside left.
Coach Angelo with the Des Moines Register. Take me through the process of getting Chantrell cleared. Were there any doubts that you had, and when did you were able to start putting him into your plans?
Well, there were doubts until he went through a set of x-rays this summer that had to be looked at by his surgeon, and the fusion that took place, that it was fully healed, fully fused, and that he gave his blessing that he could play. From there, Chantrell and his family, specifically his mother, had to sit down and make the decision that they were going to resume playing college football. And that just happened here within the last week. So now we'll plug him back in. Certainly he's going to have to work his way back up the depth chart. He's been out for a while, but we look forward to him doing that. Now, my biggest concern as he begins that process, as he does it with his head up, and fundamentally does all the things to protect himself as he moves forward.
Question on the outside left, and we'll move to center.
Bobby Legess, Instrument. Paul, you have Jared Barnett and Still Jansen in the quarterback battle once camp opens. Do you have a time frame on when you want to pick a starter, and how important is it going to be to get more consistent play at a quarterback this year?
Well, first one, easier, Bobby. Probably the same as last year, all the way through the last scrimmage of training camp before I'll make that decision. And we most definitely need better play from the quarterback position if we're going to become a better football team. And namely in the area of accuracy. Our quarterbacks completed, I think, 51% of their passes is all last year. We threw too many to the wrong colored jersey. And if we're going to be a better offensive football team, which is very important in this league, to be a better football team, it's going to take better quarterback play.
question, wait. Yeah, okay.
Principal, NBC Sports. I apologize if you've answered this already, but can you give me your thoughts on West Virginia entering the league? You have a little bit of history with them from your time at Pitt. Give us your thoughts on them and what you think they're going to be able to do, not only this year, but in the next few years.
They'll come in and compete immediately. I would expect them to come in and compete for a conference championship. They're that level of program, and always have been. They have a high quality of player. They got great coaching. They got an offense that will compete in this league. They got a defensive coordinator who thoroughly knows this league, and I would expect big things out of West Virginia in 2012 and beyond.
Got a question here, and then we'll go back to the left.
Paul, Tim Griffin with the San Antonio Express News. The Big 12 has been around now for 16 years, and I'm curious, are you finding it easier now to get into Texas high schools to recruit players? Like James White's a kid from here in Dallas. As kids down here become familiar with your brand, the way you play, is it easier to get in and recruit Texas than it was, say, earlier steps in your career?
It is easier. I don't know the exact number, Tim and Jim. You know that in my history a little bit. I was at Iowa State the last year of the Big 8, so I was there the first year of the Big 12. We weren't even recruiting Texas at that time, and Pete Hayner was our offensive coordinator at that point, and he talked Dan into going into Dan McCarty into going into Houston that year, and certainly it's expanded from there. But that was new at that time for Texas kids, and Iowa State football, where the heck is Ames, Iowa, where now the kids that have graduated and grown up with the Big 12, they don't even know what the Big 8 was. And they just know the I-State brand, the Cardinal and Gold, and then Ames, Iowa is a university that's coming to Texas twice every year to play road Big 12 games. They're going to get a chance to come home, and they're going to get a chance to see their families, and of course their families a chance to see them play back in the state of Texas. So yeah, I do believe the doors are open wider than they were back in 1996.
Got a question on the outside left.
Coach Andrew, again, just with your experiences at Pitt and all, from your view, how have you seen all the things that have developed at Penn State and how that has reverberated around that state at this point?
You know, what's taking place this morning, we haven't heard that much about because we just landed this morning and traveled in as the news was breaking. I think first and foremost, this is a matter for the legal system and the courts, and there's more of that to come. And I'll leave it at that. First and foremost, that's where this case is at, and I can't say anything or give my opinion about anything that's going to do anything to help the victims or their families.
Question on the right, after the back.
Kurt Bowles from the Austin American Statesman. Paul, when you said probably the most talented football team you're going to put on the field, do you define that in terms of the top 22, 44, full roster, or what? And how shocking would it be for Iowa State to win the Big 12 this year?
I'm trying to think how big, what I could use to describe how big that would be, that shock. At the same time I say that, Kurt, we're going to go into all 12 football games with expectations to win it. That's how our kids are going to prepare, and that's how I expect our kids to take the field and play. I think it's both the top 22 and the top 44, and I separate those two. This is without a doubt our deepest football team. I finally believe just about every location. We've got it too deep that if one guy, his shoelace broke or he broke his collarbone, and we could put a guy in and be okay. Where in 2009, we had 6 offensive linemen that we would have played. I think the starting 22 overall are our best group. So I don't have a roadmap that said in 2012 we better be at this point, but we are progressing like I hope our football program would, to make that talent level our best football team, and a football team that wins more than 3 Big 12 games like our 3 previous have done is going to be based largely on how our quarterbacks play and the improvement of our defense, especially our defensive line.
Correct question on the left, and then we're gonna come to the front, right, well, I'm sorry, right here in the middle, which hand?
Coach Brian Smith with Fox Sports Southwest. You already talked about the Oklahoma State win and how big that was for your program, but can you describe how much the win over Iowa meant, especially with the way the last few games have gone, and increasing your brand in the state and saying not only can we compete with them, but we can beat them?
Very important to our fan base, maybe most of all. You don't just beat Iowa and sign every recruit in the state. Matter of fact, they've got commitments from a number right now. We don't have commitments from anybody in the state. And we're the team that won that football game a year ago. Certainly I put a great deal of importance on the game, and our kids understand that. And to finally win it in our third opportunity was important. I think it was great to win it at home. But if you got to be a part of that game at all, or see it, or it was a game that was played at home in September, a very hot day that went 3 overtimes. There was 2 teams that played to complete exhaustion. And to win a game like that, regardless of it being against your in-state rival, is very important to the growth of your football program.
You have a question up here in front, Mike?
Sean Fryer with the Kansas State Collegiate. You guys lost Leonard Johnson. He was a really good corner, played a big role in that Oklahoma State football game. How do you try to replace someone that's such a talent, such a lockdown corner like that?
Numbers and 2 starters that we think have the opportunity to be good players. Leonard's a guy that got forced into playing as a true freshman in his first campaign. Was a part of only 2 victories. Now Jansen Watson's been our program going into his 4th fall, and he's just not going to start for the first time. That's a lot of practice time under his belt. Jeremy Reeves is a multi-year starter on the other side. Then you got Sam Richardson and Ken Lynn, both coming off redshirt campaigns to provide depth. Cliff Stokes, who we signed as a junior college player, and Matt Thomas from right here in Lancaster in the Metroplex area, giving us a 3-deep cornerback and in great competition. Hopefully that's how it will help to replace Leonard Johnson.
Any further questions for Coach? And another question up here on the front.
You guys also already have a pretty tough home schedule when it comes to the Big 12. You guys got K-State, Baylor, OU, and WVU all at home. Obviously, those are tough games. Obviously, it helps to have them at home. What are your thoughts on that?
You got to protect your home stadium, and we're going to have to do that against what we always know is going to be a tough schedule. It's one thing I sort of look up to see where people rank us, and I haven't seen one prognosticator say anything lower than 5 as far as where they rate our schedule again this season. It's something that we've gotten to know. It's a challenge that our players embrace. Well, they better, or they're not going to survive.
Outside of that.
Paul, I wonder if you could tell us a couple of players that you might target and say that you're looking for big things as they come on this year.
That's easy. I think the 2 that are probably gaining the most notoriety as we head into the fall, who are with us here today, A.J. Klein and Jake Knott, a pair of our linebackers, guys like Leonard, who played as true freshmen and have now been 3 starters in a Wally Burnham coach defense. But these guys are prototype. They're 6'2", 6'3", 245 pounds. They can run, they're intelligent, they're tough, and the expectations of those 2 are high for good reason.